What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and welcome if you're new. This is Tapped In Wellness, where we discuss all things holistic wellness, plant-based cooking for the soul, and how to just live a better life. And today we're going over all my top kitchen essentials as a vegan home cook. Now, some things are more necessary than others in my opinion, but I tried to include everything that would be the most practical, as well as what would enhance your plant-based home cooking experience overall, because I know they've greatly impacted mine. So if you're liking this video so far, be sure to leave a like down below, comment your favorite kitchen essential, and be sure to subscribe to the channel because we got a lot more coming. But without further ado, let's get into these essentials. First up, we have blenders. It's towards the top of my list because they hold so much value on a plant-based diet, being that you have to process so many ingredients. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's more work that has to go into some of these dishes, but it requires more tools like this to help you get the job done. First, we have our main high-power blender. You know, plant-based diet or not, this is 100% a staple you need in your kitchen. From processing sauces to soups, to making your own smoothies, to making your own plant milks, nut and seed butters, and everything in between. Having a high power blender just ensures that you get the quality and the consistency and the result that you're really looking for when you're processing these ingredients. I use this pretty much daily, making things that I just mentioned before, smoothies, sauces, soups. I make a lot of my own plant milks. You can make dairy-free creams and cheeses, all things that happen within a high power blender. And that ultimately leads to a better result that then you can serve or you can enjoy for yourself and get that much more out of your plant-based experience. So if nothing else, high power blender for sure, you need this. Moving on, we have our mini blenders. These are key for the same reasons why you want to have a high power blender, because you want that power, you want that efficiency, you want those results, but it just comes in a more convenient package. There's so many different ones, but personally one of my favorites has been this one from Beast Health. It's a super high power blender in a really small package. It comes in different sizes. You can remove this attachment and you basically just have a single serve of whatever it is you're making. I make smoothies in here almost every day. You can make sauces in here. You can make little creams in here. You can even make a single serve soup if you want to. Because in a bigger blender like this, there's a certain amount of ingredients you'll have to put in here to get it to actually blend the way you want to blend really smooth. Like, I can't make a single serve smoothie in this big pitcher and have the same result. Just because of the amount of space. So I'll have to add more ingredients, I'll have more left over. Sometimes it's just inconvenient. But with this, I can just load everything in here and I know the portion's gonna be exactly what I want. So I really like this one. I also like this wireless one from KitchenAid. Same deal as this, not as powerful, but this could be perfect for if you're really on the go. I could see this, being brought out to like beaches and parks and, tailgates, whatever you're into. So you can make stuff on location, on site, just makes life easier. And again, it's easier to manage with the portions. And then last but not least, we have an immersion blender. This one might qualify a little more as a chefy tool, but it still holds a lot of value. I find the best application for something like this is for sauces and soups. You can load a bunch of ingredients into a single serve jar, get the immersion blender in, and then you're able to process whatever you need to just in that container. So that's really useful, especially for soups. If you don't want to transfer your hot mixture all the way to a big full-size blender like this, you can just stick this right into the pot, start blending it around. It'll give you that same result that you're looking for as well. So this is really just handy for special circumstances, but when you are using it, it really does shine through and it really makes things a lot easier. And then a little bonus to this section is having a good food processor if you can swing it. Everything you can do in here, you can kind of get done in a blender. You would just have to be more delicate with the blending process, pulse it a few more times, because if something you don't want to turn into like one smooth, consistent mixture, it will definitely happen in here, as opposed to here, you can process it a little bit more finely, as if you were just chopping it by hand, which does have its perks as well. So a food processor does make things convenient. It takes a lot of time and energy out of having to chop things by hand. I find that's its best application. And these do come with other attachments like graters, slicers, ribboning, shredding. So it does have its own unique abilities. And all of these are very useful for the kitchen. Next, we got to talk about knives. Knives is probably one of the most important kitchen tools you could ever have. And it's important you have good ones, because if you have no other tool in the kitchen, a knife will get done with pretty much any other automated or electric appliance will do. So it's important to have a few different knives if you can. One being an all-purpose chef's knife that can handle all your daily tasks: chopping, slicing, julienning, all the fancy stuff. This one is the one that can get it done. The long blade and rounded edge allows for a smooth chopping motion and an overall efficient chopping process. The next would be a utility knife. That one is a shorter blade and is designed for more involved tasks where you're gonna have to be a lot more mobile. Then we have a serrated knife. This one is great for tougher to cut things like bread, even some fruits and vegetables. The serrated edge will lend itself to a smoother cut using a sawing motion as opposed to a straight down cut, in which some cases that pressure can just just crush whatever it is you're trying to cut. So the serrated knife is perfect for that. Lastly, we have a little paring knife. This allows for even more precision and is used for like small, quick things. If you're like peeling by hand or cutting up small pieces of fruit, you don't want to bring out the big chef's knife or the utility knife sometimes. It's just too much. So it could be a little safer to use a smaller one. And a big key with all these knives that you want to remember is they have to be sharp. Now, believe it or not, the duller your knives are, the more dangerous they are. Because they're duller, you might have to apply more pressure or they can slip, and ultimately that's how you end up hurting yourself. Whereas if they're sharper, the knife can do all the work. You apply minimal pressure, the cuts are nice and precise, and you can get done exactly what you need to without having to think about applying any extra force. So get a little home knife sharpening kit. Something like this will do the trick just fine. You just take out your knife, go back and forth about 30 to 60 times on the coarse setting, then on the fine setting, and you can repeat that as many times until you get the sharpness that you're looking for. And a little bonus tool here that's actually so useful are kitchen shears. These are severely underrated in my opinion. Everybody gets so caught up on the knives, but shears can do so much for you with half the effort. They're great for cutting up some fruit or some veggies really quick, obviously helping to open food packages, just getting a rough cut on something before you actually process it, or if you're just being lazy, you can use these the whole time, which I may have done once or twice. So definitely a good pair of kitchen shears will take you a long way. But with all these things you're cutting, you're gonna need something to cut on, which brings me to my next essential, which are the cutting boards. These are super important because obviously you need a surface to chop all your ingredients on. And it may seem pretty simple, but the kind that you have does matter. Now there are a lot of different boards out there, but I definitely recommend getting wood ones. The plastic and silicone ones work well, but they have more of a use with animal products, being that they're easier to wash off some of those ingredients that can prove toxic, as opposed to having it seep into and soak into the wood, which can definitely be harmful in the long run. But particularly in a plant-based diet, you want to have good cutting boards, especially if you're doing a lot of chopping, because again, with the plastic or silicone ones, the more chopping you do, the more those microplastics can like infiltrate the food, and you don't want to be ingesting those. And with these wood boards will come taking care of the wood boards as well. So you definitely want to make sure you want to get yourself some food grade mineral oil. This just helps to basically condition the board, and it helps it last much longer, because obviously after every use you're going to clean it. All the soap and the scrubbing really dries it out, and if you don't take care of it, it's just going to end up warping or cracking on you, or even worse, just like splintering off, and then you have some of that in your food, and that's just no good. You definitely want to condition them after every few uses. You know, you wash them, you let them dry, then you go down with a layer of this, wipe it all over, maybe do 1 or 2 coats and just let that soak in overnight, and then you're coming back to like a fully conditioned board that's ready to go again when you're ready to use it. The next essential is all your cookware. Non-toxic cookware, I might add. It's important that your cookware is non-toxic because you don't want any harmful properties leaching into your food. When these toxic surfaces get heated, it makes them so much easier to seep and leach into whatever you're making. Things like Teflon, non-stick, aluminum, copper are all cookwares you really want to avoid, because when they get to those high temperatures, like I mentioned, the properties can leach into your food, causing more internal problems that we don't really need over time. But what you definitely should look out for are some of the staples and are non-toxic altogether, like cast iron. First and foremost, this is all-purpose and can be used for literally anything, from baking to roasting to sauteing to stewing to braising. Like, it literally covers all your needs. Can go right from the stove into the oven and vice versa. And if you can, try and look for ones with the metal handles, just so you have that versatility. And depending on how you take care of these will last you forever. These can be made non-stick too organically. You have to go through a whole seasoning process though, but you can get it to the point where it is non-stick. People are torn whether to use soap on these or not. I've done both, and typically either is fine as long as you continue to wipe down and oil it each time after you're done using it. That will keep its seasoning intact, that will keep the coating on there. And then if you want to do a proper, like full intensive seasoning session, you can do that as well. But if nothing else, cast iron is definitely the go-to. Then we have other options like stainless steel. These are great all-purpose ones as well. They don't have as much versatility as the cast iron, but they are good for quick sautés, browning things, searing things, and they're very durable. Again, proper care with these, they'll last you a long time. Then you have ceramic cookware. These most often come in like baking dishes just because they can just sit in there and hold that heat, but they do make ceramic pots and pans as well. Cons with these is that they don't hold heat well like a cast iron or a stainless steel, and they will break, you know. So it's best to be gentle with these, and I think for having these for bakeware, probably the best option, just because there's not a lot of moving going on. It's just going in and out of the oven, and that's all you have to think about. Same goes for glass cookware and bakeware. Same thing as a ceramic. It doesn't conduct heat that well, but truly non-toxic and non-reactive, so you know you're gonna be safe with these. But again, they are delicate, and with glass, sometimes with too much heat, they can just straight up crack. So again, be careful with that. Then there's enameled cast iron. These are great because they have all the same versatility as you get in a normal cast iron, but with a bit more convenience built in. Naturally non-toxic, non-stick, and they're much easier to care for and clean. You don't have to worry about oiling it down or seasoning it because that coating is already built in. They make these in pots and pans. You can also do some enameled bakeware. Same thing, non-stick, really easy to clean and care for, and really durable and lasts a long time. There are other great materials out there like carbon steel or titanium, none of which I personally have, but any non-toxic material you choose to use, you're doing a great service for yourself. Next would 100% have to be a juicer, specifically a slow masticating juicer. Now, these are one of these essentials that I think would be beneficial for more than just a vegan or plant-based person, because juicing is one of the ultimate forms of nutrition. You essentially just get to streamline all the nutrition that's in these fruits, vegetables, roots that you're juicing. You know, it's a high level of superior hydration. You get essentially like fortified water. It just provides so much natural energy for you. It's a practice that I think anybody could benefit from. You know, at this point for me, I juice something every day. It's changed my life as far as providing another energy source, understanding my health better, and making me feel better ultimately. So this is one of my favorite essentials and would definitely recommend for somebody else starting out to get into it as well. Like if you're just starting out and you're deciding between getting a high power blender or a set of knives and a juicer, I would say get the other stuff first and come back to the juicer later. But what it can offer you in the long term is so valuable, I thought it deserved a place in the list of essentials. So tap in if you haven't already. Now this one is an interesting one because I didn't know how much I needed it until I actually got it, and that is an air fryer. Now initially I had a regular one with the Teflon coating, toxic materials, one we didn't know at the beginning. But with more research and trial and error, landed on this one from our place called the Wonder Oven. Now there's a lot of these on the market, these toaster oven air fryer combos, and these really can do everything. You can roast in here, you can reheat in here, you can air fry in here, you can bake in here. I think a small mini compact air fryer toaster oven vibe is 100% an essential because this can cook things in ways that you can't do in just the pan or without having to heat up your whole big oven. You can literally just get in here, take out this small tray and, you know, make whatever you're making on this big. I bake cookies on here, I've air fried mushrooms, reheat my food, everything. So I definitely think this is a happy medium between like efficiency, utility, and convenience. Especially if you're going the non-toxic route, then you don't have to worry about compromising your food in that way. And this could be helpful for those that watch their oil intake or are oil free. You can get those same crispy, delicious results without using as much oil, or if any at all. Extremely versatile, saves you a lot of time and energy, works as a replacement for like a microwave, if you will. I don't have a microwave in here, and I won't be using any microwaves. I haven't used microwaves for years now, but something like this gives you that same effect. Blends the convenience of a microwave with like the function and utility of an oven, but also provides its own unique abilities too. So this one I think has to be in your kitchen as well. And next on the list we have a rice cooker. Again, another one of those ones I didn't know how much I needed them until I actually got it. This, I mean, there's not much to say about this. This just makes life a whole lot easier. Cooking rice, cooking grains, I mean, it just does it for you. And I mean, for me personally, I always found cooking rice and grains like confusing. Like in a pot, it just seemed like such a delicate process, and you're supposed to let it sit and don't let the steam out, but you're trying to check on it and all these things. And then before you know it, you're left with some burnt rice or some really dry rice or some like mushy grains. And it's just like, just put it in here, close the lid, turn it on. It shuts off when it's done and it comes out perfect every time. As long as you're following the ratios and stuff, you're not gonna have any problems. So I think this is definitely an essential, especially if you like a lot of rice, if you like a lot of grains. This one is very simple. This is literally just for grains. It just has an off and on button, but they have more sophisticated ones with other settings, more like Instant Pot vibes where you can do a whole bunch of things in them. So again, function, utility, convenience, that's the perfect blend of elements we're looking for. And this one takes another spot on the list. So those are all my main kitchen essentials, the ones I think for sure 100% you gotta have in your kitchen. Beginner, intermediate, expert level, these are the mainstays. These are the ones that are gonna be in the kitchen across all those levels, and you should definitely try and get those. Now we have a little bonus section where I don't really use these things often at all really, but they are nice to have for specific situations and settings. They come in really handy and they're good quality, so maybe you consider getting these just as like some fun appliance if you know you really want it and will get some use out of it. First on this bonus list that I feel could definitely be an essential for some people, like it has everything it needs to be an essential, but I personally just don't use it as much or use it to its fullest capabilities, is a stand mixer. A stand mixer can be huge, especially if you like to bake. You know, this streamlines the process a lot more for whipping up creams, mixing dough, for making batters, and that's just scratching the surface with this thing. They have so many more attachments. They have an ice cream attachment. Obviously, they have a meat grinder attachment, an attachment for making pasta. So it's like, you can really get a lot out of this depending on what you use it for. I obviously don't grind up meat, and I don't make a ton of pasta from scratch. I don't do a ton of baking. So I don't get as much out of this as maybe another person would, but I really am glad that I do have it. So this could take the place of a few different appliances in your house, to be honest, depending on which attachments you get. But that's why this is on the bonus list for me, because I know people do get a lot out of this, but I am still happy to have it. The next one on this bonus list is a Ninja Swirl. This one goes on the bonus list because it has a very specific use. It's for blending up mixes into like an ice cream-like texture, which is great. You can make your own ice creams. You can do that with this too. Puts it in more of a compact serving size. It's good, it's useful, it's fun. It even makes its own soft serve. It has a soft serve attachment where you can use this handle and you have your own soft serve, things like that. Yeah, I'm gonna be real. I didn't buy this one. This was sent to me. I'm grateful to have it. For me, I've been getting a little bit more out of this than this because I make acai bowls every day, and putting the acai mix in here just blends it up really smooth into an ice cream-like texture, and that's what you want to look for. That's my favorite way to have an acai bowl. So I use it for that, and it is really fun to have. But you could essentially do the same thing in a high power blender. It's not totally necessary in my opinion, but it is fun. It's a little bonus item if you want to do it. If you're really into ice cream and making your own stuff, it could be fun for that. And they do make it really easy with these, you know, these essentially single serve casings. You fill up and they transform it into ice cream. So these two great appliances. I personally don't use them to the capacity that maybe they are to be used, or use them as much as somebody else, but you can get a lot out of them depending on what your needs are. And with that, that completes my list for essentials that you're gonna need on a plant-based or vegan lifestyle. You know, embarking on a new lifestyle or dietary preferences can be difficult just because you have to uproot everything you knew once before and relearn all over again. But these appliances and these tools can all make that process so much easier as you're transitioning and help to sustain you through your lifestyle. So try a few of these out, get some for yourself, and then continue to build what best fits your needs. I know over time I've gravitated towards some more than others, but it's all part of the learning process, and overall these will enhance your experience as a plant-based person. But there are so many more things in the kitchen that can prove useful as far as sustaining your lifestyle and making it the best it can be. So what I need you to do is let me know if you need a part 2 to this, because we can get into so many more other essentials, kitchen gadgets, uses for the kitchen, optimization on setup, you know, just things to think about. So if you like this video, be sure to leave a like down below, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, you know what I'm saying? Hit the bell. We got a lot more coming your way, got a lot more recipes, other lifestyle stuff, maybe more informational things like this if you guys enjoy this, and let me know about more what you want to see. But if you made it this far, I appreciate you watching. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.